Live, local, breaking, news you can trust. This is the North States News at 10.
We're going to get slammed. Hopefully we don't, but be prepared for the worst. Yeah. Always be prepared for the worst.
Tonight, most residents of the North State are preparing for stormy weather this weekend as cold conditions take over the mountain areas. We're on storm watch at this hour. We have your latest up-to-the-minute weather coverage. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Friday night. I'm Glenn Cassie. As we prepare for what might be the worst storm of the season, if you can stay off the roads this weekend, it's probably a good idea, especially in those higher elevations. The snow is already forcing closures in some of the mountain areas. Brian, where's kind of the snow falling right now, and where's the heaviest going to be overnight?
Right. Well, you said cold weather this weekend. That's what we need. We need the cold air to slide in. We've had lots of rain. I mean, inches of rain everywhere, but not the coldest air to bring the snow. So let me just show you where it's at and where it's not, and I'll show you why you're not getting it. It's having a hard time getting below that 3,000 foot mark. We haven't had the coldest air come in. So this is what we're seeing. Just show you the cameras. Get out to the 299 West. You're seeing lower Buckhorn. I'm sure there's traffic going through fine, just fine. Oregon Mountain is always a question mark when snow gets very heavy, but right now looking pretty good. And Berry Summit Point, so everything looks fine there. And then you advance a little bit and you get down to some other locations, let's say like Shingletown, that's 3,500 feet. We should be getting much closer to some good snowfall there, but generally above 4,000 feet, that's where we're seeing it, 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet. And that's why Lassen Park entrance looks like it does. That's why the Bogard Ranger Station looks like it does. I'll show you when that coldest air comes through coming up.
All right, thanks, Brian. And we're continuing to track those conditions for you tonight. The North States News' Tyler Van Dyke is out live in Shasta County with the latest on conditions out there and how you can be prepared for the storm over the next several days. How are things looking right now where you're at, Tyler?
Good evening, Glenn. Currently, there's a little bit of rain coming down, as you can see. Also, some decently strong wind out here in Shingletown as well. Conditions were about the same as they were earlier tonight as well here. It's very foggy still, just like it was in our previous shows. And there's still expected to be a lot more snow coming here later tonight and throughout the weekend. We saw firsthand driving back what can happen if you try to drive out in this weather. So folks out here and in other places of Shasta County and Redding are definitely going to want to be aware of that and take caution if they do venture out into these storms. There's also potential for chain checks or for the I-5 Fondale exit in Redding to possibly even close later tonight and potentially throughout this weekend. The best way to stay safe is to just stay home.
And don't go out. You're a fool if you go out, because if you get stuck, nobody's going to be able to get to you. That's it, that's all. Water, food, and be prepared. Cuddle up, watch some movies together.
In these winter weather conditions, Caltrans encourages people to avoid travel if possible. If you do have to drive, though, there are some key things to keep in mind and in your vehicle. Make sure to monitor road and weather conditions continually before and during your trip, as they can change at a moment's notice. Make sure to keep your gas tank full in case you do end up stuck somewhere without services as well. Also, make sure to carry food, water, blankets, a phone charger, a first aid kit, and a shovel with you to ensure you are safe if your vehicle does get disabled out in these storms this weekend. The number one thing people need to be aware of and understand is you don't want to drive in these conditions. So if you don't need to drive, please don't. Just stay cautious and drive safe when traveling out there if you do need to this weekend in these storms. Reporting live in Shingletown, Tyler Van Dyke, the North States News.
All right, thank you, Tyler. You stay safe where you're at. It looks like things might change over to snow fairly quickly. Let's go over to First Alert meteorologist Brian Schofield, who's tracking the winter storm across the North State. Brian, where's the snow at right now, and where do you anticipate it kind of being in the overnight hours when people wake up?
And I'll tell you, that great video Tyler produced there, I mean, really, it looks like it's going to bust at any moment. I mean, you've got fog, you've got the colder air, but not cold enough. That's why you're right on the cusp of some greatness, Shingletown. It's right there, but we need that cold air to come in overnight. Up the road a little bit, go to Viola, 4,400 feet. I think we're going to see snow right there right now, but it's hard to get down to that 3,500 foot level. Let me show you some more areas too that are just waiting to get snowfall. We had an inch of rain for you folks in Weaverville, but you're 2,000 feet. We cannot get it to stick tonight. Lewiston as well. Let me just back away. I want you to see that. Lewiston, you're right there. You might have seen a flake or two here or there. Nothing sticking for you at 1,400 feet just yet. Not just yet. Go up the road quite a bit, let's say Mount Shasta City, you're 3,500 feet. You're getting some, very light right now. Dunsmuir, not so much at 2,300 feet, but you got plenty of rain now this evening. Today, it looked like it was going to be blue sky, right? So it's easy to be fooled about that. McLeod, you're looking good right now, but it's all rain down our valley, and more of that on the way as well. We'll have your full forecast coming up, show you when this will finally let up in your first alert weather.
All right, thanks, Brian. Let's take a live look at some of the major outages on the North Coast from the PG&E outage map. Thousands lost power earlier in McKinleyville, but according to the map, most of that power has since returned. Over 1,000 people are still without power north of Humboldt in the Patrick's Point area. Further south, we're also tracking an outage near the Humboldt-Redwood State Park. PG&E says they're working to get the lights back on, but could be delayed by this storm system. This map will have the latest updates. You can find it on our website. Post office went up in flames in Mendocino County tonight. Witnesses say that an explosive lightning strike hit a nearby tree, which fell and then lighting the office on fire around 6 tonight. This is in the small town of Leggett in the northern part of the coastal county. This video was shot by Stephen Sutherland. We can see the flames persisted through the downpour. Cal Fire says the fire was contained. Crews are still cleaning up at this hour. No injuries were reported. 2 Anderson men were caught with almost 1.5 pounds of what is suspected to be meth and other drugs during a traffic stop this afternoon. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office says officers stopped 54-year-old Jason Cook from Anderson for a traffic violation driving northbound on the I-5. 55-year-old Brad Wine, also from Anderson, was in the passenger seat. Officers say a canine found 1.46 pounds of suspected meth, 23 grams of marijuana, and other drug-related items. Cook and Wyan were arrested and in custody at Shasta County Jail. A driver was arrested and 2 passengers are still wanted after a chase through North Reading last night. It started just before 10 when police got reports of a gray SUV intentionally trying to run over a pedestrian near Twin Tower and Collier Drives. Officers found the car, but the driver, 32-year-old Andrew Nolan, wouldn't stop. They followed him for nearly 10 miles until he drove down a hill where Nolan and 2 others jumped out and ran off. The CHP helicopter was called in and spotted Nolan, but the 2 others in the vehicle have not been found. Up to 500 homes and buildings have been destroyed by wildfires raging across the Texas Panhandle. Texas Governor Greg Abbott offering a grim update earlier today.
When you look at the damages that have occurred here, it's just gone, completely gone. Nothing left but ashes on the ground.
The Smokehouse Creek fire is the largest in state history, burning about 1,700 square miles. At least 2 people have died. Ranchers are also dealing with considerable cattle losses. Governor Abbott spoke about the need to improve air support to slow or stop fires in the immediate future and beyond. Officials warn there's still a significant threat for new fires with a forecast for the upcoming weekend. They're urging residents to be prepared.
No new starts. Over 90% of wildfires are human caused. We've got to get the message out. No new starts. We do not want to divert resources from our existing fires onto a new start fire.
Governor Abbott issued a disaster declaration for 60 counties. He said he's working on a federal disaster request. President Biden says FEMA will reimburse Texas and Oklahoma for their costs. Japanese firefighters have been training with Butte County Cal Fire for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. The North States News' Hannah Gutierrez spoke to both teams as they learned more about each other.
Firefighters from Japan are here working with CAL FIRE in Butte County for what they say is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
So we must need learn new techniques, and also the American U.S. structured fire technique is one of the best in the world. So that is why we want to learn from best.
Japanese firefighters trained with CAL FIRE in Butte County to learn about American fire strategy, tactics, equipment, and more. CAL FIRE says new similarities in Japanese infrastructure to the U.S. makes training like this beneficial for Japanese firefighters.
They're being constructed more like buildings here in America, and so they just wanted to come over here, kind of learn how we do things, and so it'll translate back to the way that they're able to fight fires with the new building construction in Japan.
Although there are a lot of similarities between firefighters in both countries, there are some notable differences.
These fire clothes are more, thick and good protect for the heat. Japanese, the fire clothes, more light, more thin, and good for the moving, but no good for the protection for the heat.
This is the first time CAL FIRE has hosted firefighters from Japan after the COVID-19 pandemic, making this a positive learning experience for all crews involved.
I'd say it's really great just to be able to, to meet new people, to meet firefighters from all over the world, find out how they do things, be able to build relationships like that. We welcome people from all over, and we've worked with people from all over the world. So I think anytime that we can do that, that just helps us to become better at what we do.
Very happy to come over here, except weather, of course. Most of the people are first time to come to the United States this time. So everyone very excited about that.
Reporting in Oroville, Hannah Gutierrez, the North States News.
Up next, abortion pills will now be available at local pharmacies in states where it's legal. The mouthwash recalled over packaging concerns, and millennials are on track to become the richest generation ever. Much more to come. Stay with us.